The incredible Election Day success rate for Sarah Palin-endorsed candidates continues to impress. You can add the Walker-Malott ticket to the win column officially. Bill Walker has won his race for Alaska governor after weeks of counting the ballots. Walker, a former Republican, and Byron Malott, a former Democrat, ran together as independents to take the state house. Sarah Palin says of Walker and Malott, they have proven that they truly have our state's heart and believe in putting Alaska first and ignoring status quo politics that get in the way of Alaska's destiny. Along with our friend Colonel Rob Maness and the Duck Dynasty gang, Sarah Palin campaigned this past week for Bill Cassidy in Louisiana. Cassidy is running for the U.S. Senate against Mary Landrieu. The vote will be next month. Palin said Congressman Bill Cassidy is ready to serve in the U.S. Senate as a fighter for Louisiana, as opposed to Senator Mary Landrieu, who has been a voice for Barack Obama, voting with him 97% of the time, and has virtually ignored good Louisianans' concerns for so many years. The status quo has got to go. Louisiana deserves the best, and Dr. Bill Cassidy is the best candidate for this great state. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and visit sarahpalinchannel.com.
It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson and Kevin Scholla.
Hey, Susan, welcome back.
Thank you, Kevin.
So apparently Americans are really stupid.
Yes, and apparently Americans don't really like being called stupid. And we have a very famous person, Mr. Gruber, has been going around on camera and at seminars and wherever he can speak. He really is being quite candid in his view of Americans and being quite candid in the way that they rolled out Obamacare and in a tricky way in order to get it passed.
Yeah, and the big sums of money he was given to be, Mr. High-Profile Consultant, yet while you said he's being outspoken, you see Pelosi and others are saying, who's this guy? I don't know who this is. They're playing that distance game now.
Well, standing at the polls in the recent election, from opening until closing, certainly the majority of voters that were coming through, they know they've been tricked. They know that they can't trust most of the people that are elected in office. At least that's the attitude that a lot of the voters have. And they may not know exactly how it's being done, but my sense of things is that the American people are waking up and becoming somewhat more engaged, at least engaged in the way that they are voting. And that is just an overall mistrust in those who are in elected office, especially those who have been in office for a long time. And with Mr. Gruber, it's a name that Americans should become well familiar with. He has admitted that they made the law so complicated that it would get through the filters of the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, so that it would not be identified as a tax. And he basically said it's a sad state of the budget process, but there you have it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you're bringing a guy in not to, get something to be more quality or to go ahead and tweak something to, in a positive manner, but to actually say, hey, look, we got to make sure we have our deception level up here to be up to snuff.
Well, these Obama-style tactics are also being used in many other states, but they're definitely being used here in Virginia. We just had the same exact type of attitude toward Virginians where the Republicans cut a deal on Medicaid expansion in order to get a tax increase passed for transportation, and they made the law so convoluted, so confusing that it was difficult for the average person to catch it. But the grassroots did catch it, and they did stop them, and we did pass a Stanley Amendment, which blocked unilateral Medicaid expansion, but then they just did another convoluted budget bill 2 months later. So it really has to do with the people who are in office, these longtime incumbents that are of the same way of thinking, that you just make it convoluted so that people don't really know what's there. They need to go.
And that message to the GOP now, yeah, you won on that election day, and we've talked about this the last couple of weeks, but now the eyes are on them. It's really their chance for, in a positive way, you want to look at it a positive way, it's their chance to really shine, but it's also their chance to drop the ball again like they did many times before, so we're going to be watching.
I think that Republicans should remember the great warning or great statement that Ronald Reagan gave, and that was trust but verify. We want to trust our Republican leaders, but they need to understand that we will be verifying that they're actually doing what they said that they would do.
Absolutely. Susan Stimson, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Susan Stimson in Virginia. More Commonwealth Common Sense next week. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. Has the world gone completely mad? Apparently, there are people who sit around with nothing better to do for mankind than to be offended by some scientist's shirt. Dr. Matt Taylor, the lead scientist of the Rosetta mission, had to apologize because of the female cartoon characters on the shirt he was wearing during a press conference, because they offended somebody. This is crazy. Women actually accused him of sexism. This is such a misplaced and silly accusation. And every time this kind of stupid stuff happens, the accusers are actually trivializing the real sexist behavior. We should be applauding this scientist's dedication to his work and his discoveries. But instead, the media powers that be decided his shirt was politically incorrect. The absurdity of these people is beyond belief. This is political correctness on steroids. Please, please stop the madness. This is Sarah Steelman for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Commonwealth Common Sense and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook, and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Susan B. Stimson, at Sarah_Steelman, and at 3DSTS. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Susan Stimson, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Mike Pompeo, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, 3D Security and Training Academy. Visit 3DSTA.com. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.